Alright guys, this is a bonus episode after my video about passing the kill screen in Donkey Kong. That video was fun to make. I'm really grateful for the huge reception that I got. And more than anything, I'm just happy I had a reason to talk about that game. Been a little bit of a side passion for me. I think competing in it is really cool, and I have some good friends who play it too. But anyway, there is actually more to talk about that didn't make it into the original video. I have some more details to share about things which helped get past the kill screen and get as far as we did in the first place, but then we also need to talk about what would happen if you could go even farther past the kill screen. First, I mentioned that the Switch version has the best potential for pulling off the ladder glitch since you could hold down and then mash the up button 12 times per second. I ended up ordering a controller that has turbo, and this one advertised that it had 12 Hz turbo. Here are my attempts at using it. As you can see, it doesn't really work quite right. I'm assuming this is an issue with the controller and that the turbo function doesn't really fire at a consistent rate. It's not like it's just the wrong speed, it'll keep changing slightly and sometimes it works better than others. I'm curious if a different controller could do this properly. Next, I mentioned previously how springs come out slower on the level 22 elevator stage. On each level, the game does a calculation to determine how fast the spring should come out, and long story short, it's 220 minus bonus timer times 2. So on level 5, for example, it would be 220 minus 80 times 2, which comes out to 60. That's how many frames between each time a spring comes out. And the game runs at 60 frames per second, so on level 5, springs will come out 1 second apart. And that's the fastest that they ever come. Let's see what the slowest they come is. Level 2 is the earliest you encounter springs, and on level 2, it's 220 minus 120, so 100. That means the springs come out every 100 frames, or about 1.6 seconds. Now, let's look at level 22. The bonus timer is only 400, so the calculation is 220 minus 2 times 4. So you get 212. The springs come out every 212 frames, more than twice as slow as on level 2. That's why you have so much time to beat the stage. And actually, this is true for the Pie Factory and the Rivets boards as well. This calculation is actually the calculation for how fast the bonus timer should tick down in general. A new spring just comes out every time the bonus timer ticks down. But yeah, that means that the bonus timer ticks down way slower than it should on Pies and Rivets too. If it ticked down at the normal rate it does for levels 4 and beyond, you actually wouldn't be able to beat the Pie board at all. With hex editing, I set the timer to tick down at the usual rate, and you could get pretty close, but this is as far as you could make it. The springboard wouldn't be possible either. You could barely make it onto this ladder before you die. And finally, you obviously wouldn't be able to beat the Rivets board, since you couldn't beat it with the glitched slower timer. But now you can only get 3 rivets, and that's with a jump at the end just before you die, since the timer won't kill you until you've landed back on the ground. Anyway, that's another interesting aspect of level 22. It's really crazy how many things come together to barely make it possible to beat some of these screens. Changing topics a little bit, a while back, Andrew told me about an idea he had. He was curious what the longest possible playthrough of Donkey Kong would be. That's actually the idea that inspired this video of mine for Super Mario Bros. But anyway, this game has a limited number of lives, and eventually you reach the kill screen, so there is a limit for how long you can play the game for. And now that we can beat the kill screen, the longest possible playthrough has gotten even longer. Also, as I mentioned a bit ago, you can extend the playthrough a tiny bit more by jumping just before you run out of time. I thought I was going to be really slick and do this big wall jump to extend it as much as possible. But it's actually slightly longer to jump all the way down and catch on the edge of this girder to slow your descent. That was a really random tangent, but anyway, that's how you make the longest possible playthrough. Or it would be if you couldn't theoretically play forever. I of course mentioned in the main video how you can get lucky and have DK delay an extra half second, and if you kept chaining that together with 1 in 40 octillion odds, you could complete the barrel board normally. Well, if that truly is possible, which it remains to be proven if there's an actual sequence in the game that allows it to be possible, but if it is, then nothing is stopping you from theoretically playing forever. While I was thinking about this possibility, I also realized that this should be much easier to do on level 1, because DK is a lot more likely to do the delays when the game's internal difficulty level is lower. Here, I did some more hex editing to make level 1 act like the kill screen with a 400 bonus timer. And sure enough, I could get DK to delay forever. Here's me messing around and taunting him. It feels good after all he's done to us over the years. Anyway, because I could get him to freeze forever, I wanted to show that you could theoretically score infinite points in this game too. So I started making a TAS of the first screen. I was scoring points normally. Well, I have to say this isn't really how you normally play. But eventually I took the first hammer and got a bunch of smashes. At this point, my plan was to freeze DK while I ran all the way up to the next hammer. But it wasn't working. And this is when I realized that, sadly, the game's internal difficulty slowly increases the more time you spend on one screen. So by this point, the game isn't acting like level 1 anymore. It's acting like level 3 now, and soon to be 4. Unfortunate. It could still be possible to delay DK infinitely and sit and jump fireballs for eternity, but I'm not going to be the one to demonstrate that. We'd need to really pick apart the game some more, because, yeah, you know, octillion odds and everything. Alright, now that we've gotten some very tangential stuff out of the way, let's go on a tour through the rest of Donkey Kong. Let's look at every possible board in the game. Let's go beyond the kill screen. To be clear, I'm just using hacks to play these levels. There isn't currently any known way to reach them legitimately. But yeah, starting with level 23, here we have a bonus timer of 1400, which lets you easily run up the barrel board normally and complete it without the ladder glitch. When we get to springs, they don't come out quite as slowly as level 22, but still pretty slow, 192 frames apart. You can complete the rivet stage this time around, and you actually even have time to do the standard strategy and grab both hammers. And things only get easier from here, since level 24 adds another 1000 points to the bonus timer. One interesting thing is each level continues to have the bonus timer out of sync with how much time you actually have remaining to beat the level. And you'll notice that you are awarded the amount of points that are displayed on it when you finish each stage. So like right here, even though DK is out of barrels and I'm about to die, I'll still get 3700 points for finishing. This aspect gets especially interesting down the road a bit more. On level 27, you start with a 9000 bonus timer, the highest it goes. You'll still die when the timer goes to 3700, but you can stick around and score points and then you'll still get 3700 bonus in the end. Or go straight to the finish and get a bigger bonus than you could ever normally even start with. Also on level 27, springs are starting to get closer to normal again by this point. At level 28, the bonus timer gets even more interesting. It's displayed as 200 at the start of each board, and you get to listen to the time running out sound for the entire level. You still secretly have a 6400 bonus timer, so you have plenty of time to finish every stage. It's just the display that's messed up. But remember, you will actually receive the number of points displayed on the timer, so finishing stages on this level will genuinely award you 0 points. Level 29 is similar. The 1200 timer soon drops below 1000, and you get more fun audio. But by level 30, everything is completely back to normal. The bonus timer calculation comes out to 8400, which is greater than 8000, so the game uses 8000 instead, and everything is fixed. But it won't last forever. If we keep going far enough, we'll reach another kill level at level 48. This time around, the timer starts at 800 instead of 400. You'll still need the glitched ladder climb to make it up this one. I even tried using it just on the top right broken ladder, but that wasn't enough. You at least don't need any luck from DK though, and you could wait on some barrels as needed. Unlike level 22, the rivet stage is easily clearable this time though. Which means, if the rivet stage of level 22 were beatable, we could make it all the way here and then even farther. If you could beat level 22, you could go over 300 more screens until level 73. Level 73 starts our third round of kill levels, but this time you only begin with 200 on the bonus timer. There is absolutely no way to beat this stage. DK will never pause until after the first 3 barrels, and he only throws 2 at this stage, so there's no path to victory here. The barrel board is definitely impossible. If you could attempt the pie board, you can complete it if you use the broken ladder glitch to make it to the top in time. The screen I was really curious about though was the springboard. You can beat the level 22 one with its 400 bonus, but what about this one with only 200 bonus? I'm happy to report that it is clearable with 1 frame to spare. With the best movement I could do, I finished the stage with 1 frame to spare before Mario died. And the best part is, the springs actually come out very slightly slower here than on level 22. Each spring comes out 4 frames later, so you have an extra 8 frames total to play this stage. All of those factors line up to make this stage barely clearable, which is so cool to me, and yet completely irrelevant because it's not like we could ever play this stage legitimately, but I still love it. To wrap up this level, if you could make it to the rivet stage, you of course couldn't beat that one, with an even lower timer than on level 22. So yeah, if level 22 wasn't the end of the road, this definitely would be. But for the sake of this video, we didn't stop at level 22, and we're not stopping now. In some universe where you could also beat level 73, how far could you go? The next kill level happens to land on level 99, and this would be the end of the road. Not because it's impossible to beat, you start with 600 on the bonus timer, which is enough to beat every board. But once you do, there's actually code in the game to handle what to do when you reach this point. When you beat level 99, the game actually just sends you to level 99 again, and you'll play it forever. Also, it's not like it's just visually level 99, but secretly the internal level count is still going up or anything. No, at this point, you would truly play the exact same level over and over. There's no chance at looping the level counter back to 0 or anything beyond this point. It's kind of funny that there's code to handle level 99, which is far past where we can ever actually get to, but there's not code to handle all of the bugs in the levels prior. But that's programming for you. Level 99 is an obvious place to go ahead and insert some safeguards, whereas you'd have to be more meticulous to think about the issue we run into at level 22. But yeah, that's all of the possible screens in the game. There are 584 possible screens in Donkey Kong, from level 1 to level 99. And out of all of those, there are just 5 screens total, which are impossible to beat. As it stands, we are roadblocked on screen 122. If you could clear that one, you'd make it to screen 423, the first barrel board of level 73. Find a way past level 73, and you could play forever. Ultimately, it's just level 22 rivets and level 73 barrels and rivets, which are impossible. Now, I'll close things out by showing you something really cool. There's no way past level 99, but if you forced the game to go past 99, then what would happen? Can there be a Donkey Kong Rebirth screen if you play to level 256 and beyond? Level 256 would overflow the level counter to 0, so it looks like it would. But wait, we started at level 1, not 0. We haven't quite gotten a Rebirth yet. Level 0 is something never played before. And there are some weird things about level 0. The bonus timer works fine, but watch this. Weird stuff happens when DK throws wild barrels. It doesn't happen every time. I don't really know why it happens, but you'll get garbled graphics. DK will sometimes drop barrels down at light speed. And my favorite, time will stop. This is so weird, but really cool. It seems like things always unfreeze after just a few seconds, but it's really fun to play with while it lasts. Everything else about level 0 seems to work fine, besides wild barrels twisting time and space. In fact, after we beat the barrel board, we get some secret new possible screens in the game. The number of fireballs on the pie board is based on what level you're on. So on level 0, there's 0 fireballs. We're free to climb up whenever we want and leach the oil can to our heart's content. Be careful though, the internal difficulty will still eventually increase to level 1, and 1 fireball will jump out. After finishing pies, level 0 springs doesn't really have anything new, but rivets has something interesting. All 5 firefoxes will spawn instantly. It's really intimidating. Beating this screen would officially cause a rebirth, and you'd loop back around to level 1. It's not exactly the same this time around though. The first time through level 1, you only play 1 barrel board and the rivet board. But this time, we have all the other screens unlocked. So you can play level 1 pies and level 1 springs. These aren't strictly new, since the Japanese version had you play these screens on level 1. But yeah, we can get just 1 fireball on pies, and the super slow elevators on springs, which makes this jump, called Top Shelf, extremely easy compared to normal. And yeah, the game continues normally from here. The final unique screen is level 2 pies with 2 fireballs jumping out. Alright, that's it friends. That's pretty much all of the interesting stuff we can do in Donkey Kong by forcing our way past the usual limits the game puts on us. It's crazy how much there is to explore in a game which is just the same 4 screens over and over. We may not be able to unlock these extra 400 plus screens by getting past level 22, but that's honestly okay, because 120 screens is plenty. And there's already so much depth that goes into high level play in this game. Alright, I hope you enjoyed learning more about this classic, and thanks for watching.